To thank everybody for coming out. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, "Man la yashkur nas la yashkur Allah." Whoever has not thanked the people has not truly thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we want to thank every last one of you. Also, as we mentioned, we're reaching the tail end of our Aqeedah series. All right, we've been studying it for a while now. We're actually coming to the end, as all good things must come to an end. All right. So having said that, again, just as a quick maraja, we said that when Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "Akhbirni an al-iman," tell me about faith. The Prophet ﷺ listed off several different things. We know that. Now, one of the last things he said is to believe in the last day. And the last day consists of what? What do we mention? Where's Sheikh Misr? Where's my man? Yusuf. He's not here. MashaAllah. All right. Sheikh Maghrib. You know what they say about Morocco and Egypt, right? What do they say about Egypt? What's the nickname of Egypt? Dunya. For Maghrib Abuha. All right, nevertheless. All right, so, Astaghfirullah. He gonna start a fight in the masjid, I think. Nevertheless, here. All right, so we said that it's to believe in what? All right, the barzakh. Well, the ashrat as-sa'a, right? The minor and the major signs. The barzakh. What else? Breathe in the Yawm al-Qiyamah, and then what? Jannah and Jahannam. So actually now we're going to talk about Jannah. Last week, when it became a couple weeks ago, the last class we gave, we were talking about the hellfire. What is one of the main things we mentioned about the hellfire? It's levels to it, right? Darakat. What else? How deep it is. There's some of the descriptions. We mentioned some punishments too. What are punishments we talk about? There's actually a lot of people do not know there's a portion of the hellfire where actually one of the punishments is people where they will freeze. All right, they will freeze. What is it called? Zimharir. All right, it's a punishment and a part of the fire where actually people will freeze. Now, and what else did we mention? Shoes of fire. There's also shoes of fire. What is the wisdom behind all of this? The scholars mentioned, what is the wisdom of Allah? Allah doesn't do anything without a just reason. What is the wisdom he mentions, whether it be from the Quran or the Sunnah? Why does he talk about some of the punishments that are in the fire?
Different darajat for different people.
Different darajat for different people. It's a warning to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Encourage you to do good. Mother? Oh, you're talking to him. Huh?
Give hope of justice.
SubhanAllah, some of the scholars mentioned one of the main reasons Allah talks about the hellfire and different types of punishments is to show that He is adil, show that He's just in everything. All right? And so it will be unfair for some people who live a corrupt lifestyle and they're never punished or what have you. They're because they're affluent, they have money, they have status, whatever the case may be, and they're never brought to account. However, on that day, and it's one of the reasons we mentioned in Surah Al-Haqqa, where he says, what? Halaka anni? Sultani. My status is gone. My money is gone. Doesn't mean anything in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khuduhu faghulluh. Right? Take him, seize him, and punish him. All right? And so one of the wisdoms of why Allah talks about these particular things is so that we may come back to the reality of that He is just. I want to mention too, and I'm going to mention this as a side point. I'm going to teach a principle. Our deen, no one is above proof. No one. All right, I say that all the time. All right, and I remember we were studying it's a story. We were in Medina, and one of the scholars he mentioned a scholar that he believes that the hellfire will come to an end. All right, has anyone heard it before, or does anyone? They call it fana an-nar. From them was scholars from Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, and other than them. Now, despite they are major scholars of Islam, we still give them their due, but no one is above proof. All right, no one's above proof. And so the reason why I'm teaching this, obviously because it's an Aqeedah class, some of them, they put forth logical explanations to it, right? And so some of them may say, well, they believe that the hellfire will come to an end because Allah is most merciful. And how can a justful Lord punish people for what? Forever, right? But then some of the scholars, they respond to that. By saying what? Just like if he let them live forever, they will continue to do what? Same thing, commit shirk forever, right? And by that analogy, if you're going to say that, then we don't deserve to be in Jannah for what? Forever. For an example, you have a companion, but the Prophet says, and I'll leave this as homework, all right? I'm not going to give no candy, you guys are not kids, right? But there was a companion, he's going to Jannah. You want candy, have you? Oh. He got 3 wives, okay? So what happens here, there was a companion, he never even made one sujood. He never made one sujood. He took his shahada and he died. He was killed in a battle. He never made one sujood. Not one. What was his name?
I don't know his name, but I remember what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
What did the Prophet say about him?
Such a little bit of effort for such a great reward.
Amal qaleel wa ajr kathir. He did a small action, but his reward is what?
Tremendous.
So in theory, if you're going to apply that analogy, he's only been Muslim for how many seconds? For a few seconds. But he sincerely accepted Islam and he lost his life. However, he has Jannah for what? Forever. So here the scholars mentioned it. At this point, we only stick to proofs, and they mention certain ayats of why they believe it, but nevertheless, we're going to come back to that at the end. So next week, we're going to have a class dealing with miscellaneous issues about the hereafter. Questions that people put forth about Jannah, nah, what about this, and so on and so forth, the grave, right? But nevertheless, we're going to go and talk about today about Jannah.
You have his name?
Huh?
His name?
Yes, I have his name. I'm not going to give it to you.
How
It's
about
homework.
How about the
La.
how about the collection?
Huh?
How about the collection that names people and what their names were? Is there? There is a collection.
There's a collection in there.
You know the name of it?
Yes, but I'm not going to give it.
Wow.
It's homework. It's homework. من غش فليس منا, all right? طيب. All right, no. Or Google, right? Chat GPT, subhanAllah. Makes everything easy, you know. طيب. When we talk about Jannah, I want to mention something. There was somebody from the people of knowledge, they mentioned something I thought was profound. They said, has Jannah changed? Or is it the same Jannah that has Jannah changed? Or is it the same Jannah? As far as, I mean, like the Jannah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encouraged the Sahaba with in the Quran. Has it changed from that point until now?
It has grown a lot, maybe, because all the dhikr and all the good deeds people do, like for example, when he says, "SubhanAllah, tree is planted."
Okay.
I'm going to say yes.
You say yes.
You're talking about the darajat?
Not the darajat.
The
I mean, as far as his bounty, as far as his virtue, as far as his beauty. It's the same Jannah. Huh? Amr bin Thabit, you sure? Don't reply on Google. We'll give it to you, inshallah. But the reason why I say this is because despite the advances that we have made as human beings, right? The technology advances we have made, we can do certain things the Sahaba never even dreamed of, right? But yet, nevertheless, we'll never be able to come up with something that Allah promises us in the Quran. This is the same Jannah that He encouraged the Sahaba. And so just imagine hundreds or 1,000 years from now, what will human beings be able to do? But yet, Jannah will still, what? Still be supreme, will still outweigh that. No matter what we're able to do, Jannah will always be superior, right? No matter the time frame, no matter the era. If the Sahaba saw us today, right? Like, subhanAllah, imagine if the Sahaba saw Mecca today, right? The things they will have, right? They probably wouldn't know how to get home, all the buildings now, right? But the whole point is, no matter the advances we have, the Jannah is the same Jannah that Allah encouraged the Sahaba to do, and that it will always be that way, but Jannah will always be superior. This is also one of the wisdoms why. Can someone read this?
Allah the Exalted has said, "I have prepared for my righteous slaves in Jannah what no eyes have ever seen, no ears have ever heard of, and what has never come to the mind or heart of a human being."
SubhanAllah. We have, and you think about that too, as far as human technology, we have some people, we have certain ideas we want to do, but we don't know how to actually do it, right? Or you may come up with something, but here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned from the Hadith Qudsi that didn't even come across the mind of a human being or the heart of a human being, but these are some of the rewards that they will actually have. Also, here, we want to talk about, and no soul, I can't read it from this side. Can someone read it?
And no soul can imagine what delights are kept in store for them as a reward for what they used to do.
Subhanallah. Again, to have a reward, to be in a place where there is nothing but comfort and ease, is one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he describes Jannah, and thereafter he says there's no fear and there's no what? La khawfun alayhim wala. There's no fear and there's no sadness. There's nothing in Jannah that will disturb a person outwardly nor inwardly. You also got to think, people have, we unfortunately, we lose a lot of different things. We lose loved ones. For example, I had a friend that recently passed away, of yesterday, actually. He died of a heart attack and a stroke. He was 37 years old. Rahimahullah. But nevertheless, what happens here to remind yourself that inshallah we will be in a place we will never lose another loved one, whether it be a friend, a parent, a child, or what have you. In fact, there's one of the companions, and it's mentioned, Ibn Hajar, he mentioned this in his collection of Sahih Bukhari. He said there was one of the Sahaba, he had a very, very strong love for his son. But his son died one day. And the Prophet ﷺ didn't see him for a period of time. And what happens here, the Prophet ﷺ inquired, where's the man and the son? And they informed the Prophet, he said that his son passed away and he's going through it right now. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned something, Ibn Hajar, he mentions this, and he said, would it please the man that on the day of Jannah, his son is waiting for him at the gates, right, of the gates of Jannah. And so here, some of the scholars they say, what is that specifically for that man, or is it for every person who lost someone that they truly love? And so you think about that, to have a reward where it's never going to stop, to be with your grandparents and your loved ones or what have you, those who made dua for you that you never knew about, that you will never become sick again. One of the things that we're concerned about in this dunya is that we fight for money, for health, and for status, for jobs, or what have you. And then, qadr Allah, a person gets cancer, or a person just dies by a heart attack, or whatever. But to be in a place where we're just going to be happy, where I can come over there and Wasim, and we can have the chicken tikka, right? In Jannah. You can't tell me no, neither. So what happens here, to be in a reward where it's just ikhwanan, we're brothers, sitting on thrones and rejoicing. There's no hidden agendas. This is a reward that we all desire. May Allah give it to us. Ameen. What we're going to talk about too, so here we're actually going to talk about some of the descriptions of Jannah. We're going to talk about some of the external or outside of Jannah, how it looks.
How come some people reject that the things you're going to have in Jannah?
Why do some people reject it? Allah knows best. All right. Which reward are you actually talking about? We're going to talk about some of the rewards, so you can tell me which one. Some people reject it for many different reasons. Wallahu alam. Because some people they suffice with which is within the Quran, and they reject hadith for whatever reason. Allah knows best. But inshallah, we'll try to give the most authentic ones today. Inshallah. So we're going to talk about here is some of the descriptions of Jannah. One of the things I want to talk about is the vastness of Jannah. How wide, how spacious is Jannah? Anybody? You said Allah alam. That's true. Nobody started Googling.
Huh? I know about the man that will travel under a tree for 1,000 years.
100.
I thought it was 1,000.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have many different hadith. One of the hadith that I want to talk about, the lowest person in Jannah. Let's just talk about the lowest person in Jannah. The lowest person in Jannah, it's a very long hadith in Sahih Muslim, but the lowest person in Jannah, as is mentioned, that he will have this, وَأَشْرَ أَمْثَالُهَا. And the scholars, they mentioned that the lowest person in Jannah will have a place in Jannah. He came out of the hellfire, right? That his place in Jannah will be the size of 10 earths. Just his place in Jannah will be at the size of 10 earths. And also, it's mentioned in that particular hadith that 2 of his wives from the Hurul Ain, they will come to him, and everybody started smiling. I said Hurul Ain. I said Jannah brothers was quiet. I said Hurleen. Everybody started smiling. Smiling. The phone's dropped, right? Stop Googling. Brother said Hurleen. Two of his wives from the Hurleen, they come to him and they say what? What's up? Smile. He on the other side of Jannah, right? Smile. We said, what's up? Two of his wives from the Qur'an, they come to, they say, Alhamdulillah, alladhi ahyaka lana wa ahyana lak. They say, all praise due to Allah who kept us alive for you and you alive for us. I can see all your teeth, akhi. And the man will respond, no one got nothing like I got. He came out of the hellfire. This man, he says, no one has been given anything I have been given. He came out of the hellfire. And he has a space in Jannah the size of 10 earths. Right? So nevertheless, here we're talking about the lowest man. So what about the one who never even enters the fire to begin with? What will he have? That's number one. Then also when we talk about the vastness of Jannah, as the Shaykh mentioned, we're on this particular point here, but as the Shaykh mentioned, we're talking about how vast it is. There is a tree, as is mentioned in one of the ahadith, it's mentioned, Inna fi Jannah shajara, that there is a tree in Jannah that a person traveling on a horse can travel for the distance of 100 years and he will still be in that shade of the tree. All right? And so we're just talking about just one tree that's actually in Jannah. Also within Jannah, there is some people, we're not talking about the mansions that they will be given. We're talking about the descriptions of that. But there's a khayma. Does anybody know what is a khayma? It's a tent, right? It's mentioned that the believers will be given a tent in Jannah. The width of that tent is how long? Does anybody know? Just the width of that tent is the distance of 60 miles. Just a tent, a khayma, a tent. And in that tent, he will go on around in the corner and he will have a family in the corner. Basically, a wife in each corner. His brother starts smiling again. We got to skip these narrations, right? Brother's gonna have to make also smile. So what happens here, and it's mentioned, that one family will not be able to see the other one. But nevertheless here, this is just a tent that a person is made out of a hollow pearl that a person will be given in Jannah. Also, one of the things too that I thought was profound, and we're going to come back to this particular narration, but in Jannah there's also a souk.
Oh, yeah.
There's a marketplace in Jannah that people will shop. So how is this a proof that Jannah is vast? How is a marketplace in Jannah a proof that Jannah is spacious, is wide?
But the number of people admitted to Jannah, all being in the market, it has to be that vast.
So I was to mention, if everybody in Jannah is coming to, is mentioned in this hadith, إِنَّ فِي جَنَّةِ السُّوقِ يَأْتُونَهَا كُلُّ جُمْعَةٍ, that every Jum'ah, the people will come to this marketplace. All right? And then we were talking about the things that are in this marketplace, but they will come in this marketplace and it's mentioned it'll still be spacious. Whatever you desire, you can just take it. All right? Whether it be clothing, whether it be whatever it is, you can take it. But also, in Jannah, at this particular time, there will be a wind that will come from the north side that will be blown, and it will fall into the faces of the people, and it will increase them in what? Beauty. Right? Beauty. And husna and everything. And so when they come back to their families, they will say, Wallahi, you have increased in beauty. And he will say to them, Wallahi, you have what? Increased in beauty as well. Scholars also mentioned too, and we're going to talk about this too, but in Jannah, they mentioned that there is, and the scholars, they differ about it, but as well, if a person would like to look a certain way, right? He will look, he said, if a person wants to look a certain way, then he can what? He will look that way. Huh? Some hair? You trying to take a shot, Chef? Yeah. It hurts, akhi. And Jannah, there's no dissing, akhi. But if a person wishes to look a certain way, or he wishes his wife to look a certain way, the scholars he mentioned they will view each other the way they desire, even if they look at themselves to be a different way. All right, it's perfection upon perfection, and also the clothes that a person wear. We're going to talk about that too. But nevertheless, here it's mentioned that we will again that the people will be increased in beauty, and also they will shop in this marketplace, and it will still be vast. Another thing we're going to talk about, I want brothers to go to chapter 7, verse 43, and also somebody else go to 1547. Chapter 7, verse 43, and then also 1547. Yes, can you read it?
And we shall remove whatever rancor may be in their breasts. Rivers will flow beneath them, and they will say, all praise be to Allah who has guided us to this. And we could not truly have been led aright were it not that Allah had guided us.
طيب. ونزعنا ما في صدورهم من غل. What is غل? Is it hate? That's it. Jealousy, envy, animosity, resentment, bitter. What is the wisdom? Why would Allah take that out of the hearts of the people? وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ.
It's one of the means of facade.
It's one of the means of fasad. Huh?
Enjoy each other.
To enjoy each other. Scholars, they mentioned too, you can't have internal happiness if the hearts are still wounded. SubhanAllah. You can't be truly happy if you're still holding on to something, right? There's small beefs or resentments. So this ego, everything will be taken out of the hearts of the people before they enter Jannah, right? And then once they enter, this is when they will have these particular rewards. So one of the main rewards is that Allah will take out of what? The ghil that's inside of a person's chest. Also, when it talks about the vastness of Jannah, how many gates do Jannah has?
8.
You got 7, you're going somewhere else. if you show up in the afternoon and you see 7 gates, you in trouble. Because that's not Jannah, that's the hellfire. So, astaghfirullah. I'm just saying. Jahannam has 7 gates. Jannah has what? 8. Jannah has 8 gates. What are the name of some of these gates?
There's the gate of fasting.
The gate of fasting. Huh? The gate of salah. Zakat. Or sadaqah. Bab sadaqah.
Shuhada.
Jihad. طيب. بر الوالدين. علماء اختلف فيه. But yeah. The reason why I'm talking about the vastness of Jannah, they say that just the pillar of this one post. It's a hadith that mentions the pillar itself. We're not talking about the door. The pillar of the Jannah, of the part of the door of this of the Bab of Jannah, that is a distance of 40 years. Just the amud, the pillar of it, from one pillar to the other side, is a distance of a person traveling for 40 years. Right? And so here, when you start thinking about this as well, let's finish the other gates. What are some of the other gates? Tawbah, Bab al-Hajj, Rayyan al-Siyam, Kadhimin al-Ghayth, by controlling your anger. Amen. Yes. Yes, that is all you mentioned. Yes, there's different gates, and some of the scholars differ upon the names here, but nevertheless, when we talk about the vastness of Jannah, just the door, there will be some people that will be called by every gate. As Abu Bakr as-Siddiq asked the Prophet ﷺ to be from those that are called from every gate. When you get to Jannah, inshallah, there will be angels waiting at that gate. And one of the things they will say, obviously, will give salamu alaikum, but what else would they say? Huh? But it's a word that they use. Tibtum. What does tibtum mean?
Enter.
Not enter, no.
Tibtum,
Mm-hmm.
you have been forgiven?
You sure?
I'm guessing.
طيب. لها معاني. It has many different meanings. And it's interesting. And scholars have mentioned tibtum here. It also means that you have been purified. All right, you've been purified. And everything that you want through, you're about to enter a reward where there's no animosity, there's no hatred, there's no jealousy towards another brother or what have you. There's nothing that you would desire that will be quote unquote wrong. And we have to be very careful because a lot of people, they ask this question. I'm going to say something that is taboo, but I'll tell you a story. And I want to see how you all will respond. All right. So you have some people, they'll say that in Jannah, I want this, and this, right? It's what they, based upon what they desire now. But that's not necessarily, you will have whatever you desire at that point, right? Not necessarily based upon your desires now. Because some people, they have desires that they shouldn't have, right? Some people desire evil things, some people desire filthy things or what have you. And so here, one of the wisdoms, Assalamu alaikum tibtum. I remember one brother, he was like, I want to have a halal beach party. I said, mashallah. But one brother, he asked me a question, and I'm just going to ask you guys, how would you respond? And wallahi, this happened when I was in Medina. I remember the street that I was walking down, and it was next to the McDonald's and next to, not on Shara Sultana, but another street. Anyway, a brother came to me, he made Umrah, and he said, Akhi, that I'm struggling with certain tendencies. I said, what do you mean? And he said that he has homosexual tendencies, right? And he said, is it okay for me to ask dua that Allah grants him a lot of men in Jannah? This is what he desires. And because he said he has asked other people, and they have told him, you can have whatever you desire. And they quote ayat, and they'll say that this, and this. So he said, Bana'na ala hadha, based upon this is what I want, and this is what Allah will give me. Is this true? What would you say?
يُسَوِّرُكُمْ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ.
That's what you tell him. طيب. What would you say?
He will get that word chapter, he will purify, then he's going to ask the good things from the other side.
And that's what I mean. I don't mean
You just create, that's how you were born.
Yeah.
I
I don't mean that.
Abdul Wahhab.
Yeah, I mean, when you,
Yeah.
that desire, no, that desire won't be there.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Right.
He might have, like you said prior, that desire he'll have
Right.
now won't be there
طيب.
in Jannah.
Alhamdulillah. Wasim.
It's a very good question, though, because logically, you should get what you desire, that you kept yourself away from.
طيب.
For rain, like you desire.
Huh.
You don't do it here, but you get it there.
So one of the things, the way I answer the question, the way a lot of people should address this question, all right, is one, that so long as a person is, and understand what I'm saying here, he understands, alhamdulillah, he understands that it's haram. He's not making excuses, that's number one. Some people, they have, whether it be this or any other desire, they'll make excuses for it and they'll take themselves out of the deen. Like, oh, akhi, this is halal, it's this, I was born this way, whatever the case may be. He totally said that, akhi, I know it's wrong, but I have this tendency in my heart. All right? So let's just deal with that. Say, akhi, alhamdulillah, may Allah, we all have sins that we're struggling with. Allah can forgive what? Anything that He wants to. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalik liman yasha. That's number one. Number two, being the mere fact that you understand this, why don't you make a dua and say, oh Allah, give me Jannah, all right? Number two, and give me that which will make me content, and leave it like that. This is also why some of the scholars mentioned the importance of here, Assalamu alaikum tibtum, you have been purified. Because a lot of people, they desire certain things now that they what? That they won't have, all right? They shouldn't have. You're a human being. You're dealing with a lot of shahwats, this, the dunya, and so on and so forth. And so here, when the angels mention tibtum, you have been purified of all your evil thoughts, purified of all your evil desires, purified of what? Of you've been forgiven. You have not reached this point unless that you have been what? Purified. All right. And this is also why some of the scholars, they mention of the different things that we go through the barzakh, the punishments, through the ahwal of Yawm al-Qiyamah, the horrors of Yawm al-Qiyamah. All of this is a purification for what? For the things and for the sins we have done. And so once we get there, whatever a person desires at that point, obviously after they have been purified, then what? They will have it. All right. And so we kind of should address it like that, inshallah. The reason why I mention that is because of what this mentioned. Now,
Question.
yes.
I don't want to go too deep into what his desires were,
Uh-huh.
but if we can have whatever it is we want, okay? So there's some things that are haram for us in this life, and it could be haram just because they're a test.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay, because if in Jannah we can wear silk, in Jannah we're gonna be able to have more than 4 wives.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have gold. So there's things that we're gonna have in Jannah that are haram for us in this life.
Tayyib. Sense. So when it comes to, here's a principle. When it comes to the matters of the unseen, right, ilm al-ghayb, when it comes to the matter unseen, we only stick to that which is the text. The only reason why we believe that those certain things that was haram here that are present there is because there's text to talk about that. For example, alcohol. We know that alcohol is what? Haram. But we know that in Jannah there's going to be alcohol because there's what? There's text that talks about that. We know that like silk, like you mentioned, we will actually wear these particular things. Outside of that, then we pause and we stop where Allah and His Messenger stopped, right? And the only reason why the scholars you mentioned brought this particular action here, right, is after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned tibtum, you have been purified, right? And a person will not desire these particular things, because now if you open that door, then when does it closes? When does it close? Right? And people start to mention all the other particular things. So when it comes to the matter of the unseen, we believe what Allah and His Messenger said, that is there, and we stop where that stops. All right? Play it. All right. Also, we want to mention too that here there's a hadith that mentions about the levels of Jannah. How many levels of Jannah are there?
7.
We said there's 8 gates. SubhanAllah. We about to go somewhere else. SubhanAllah. There's 8 gates, but how many levels of Jannah?
7.
You said 7.
I'm gonna guess, is it 23 or 32?
Well, where did those numbers come from, Akhi?
Those numbers hit me. I had
It's
to
just-
say them.
Play it. 8? Scholars, the hadith, it mentions inna fi Jannah mi'a daraja. That in Jannah there's 100 levels.
You were close.
They said there's 100 levels. And between each level is the distance of the heavens and the earth. SubhanAllah. That there is 100 levels. All right? And this, so how does this go back to talk about the vastness of Jannah? There's a narration that I want to mention that after everyone has entered Jannah, from the beginning of creation all the way into the end, and Allah knows best how long that will be, that there will still remain space in Jannah, subhanAllah. That Allah, is mentioned in the narration here, is mentioned, yabqa al-fadl al-Jannah, is, yes. So there will be some space that's left in Jannah, and Allah will create a creation just to fill up the space in Jannah, subhanAllah. No, it doesn't mean that many people are going to hellfire. We're going to talk about that. But nevertheless, too, there's also mi'a daraja, and then we'll be able to visit one another. How will we be able to visit one another? Does anybody know? In Jannah, there's a social life. There's ziyarah. Huh? Uber? SubhanAllah. The Jannah Uber, right? See? Ziyarah. There's visiting. The people is mentioned too here when we talk about Jannah. We talk about the 8 gates. Talk about this. Also, as far as ziyarah is concerned, there's a narration that the people on the lower level will be able to see some of those who are above them. All right, some of those who are above them. And we'll be able to يتزاورون, they'll be able to visit one another. There are some scholars, and the scholars they mentioned there's no proof for this, Allah knows best, but they say that those who are above them will only be able to visit those below, and not those who are below won't be able to visit those who are above. But there's no clear text to prove that. Nevertheless, here, but there's a social life that the people will be able to visit one another and talk to one another and socialize. Freely. Right? And so here we have that particular narration where we talk about that. Now also, what we want to mention is what I forgot to mention too, that there is no more death in Jannah. Who can mention a proof about there being no more death in Jannah?
That death will be killed.
Huh?
Death will be killed as a ram.
Death will be killed before we enter Jannah. It's mentioned in one narration that the angels will call everyone from Ahlul Nar to come and from Ahlul Jannah to come, and death will be embodied inside of a ram or an animal. And they will ask them, "Tadrun ma hada?" Do you all know what this is? They will say, "Maut." And it will be sacrifice, and they will say, "Fadkhulaha," enter it, and you will never die, meaning the hellfire. And they will tell people in Jannah, enter it, and you will never die. Right? So will there be no more death as well? Huh? Khalidina fiha abada. No. Right, they will remain forever. Na'am, Abdurrahman.
When like people are seeing this, is it just everybody together seeing this? Or is it like one person seeing it?
Everybody together seeing it, and Allah knows best. Now,
What did the ulama say about this issue with Ibn Taymiyyah? Did they say that he said he didn't believe?
as far as the hellfire coming to an end, we're going to come back to that.
Okay.
We're going to come back to that. It's the miscellaneous issues for next week. But here when we talk about there's no more death inside of Jannah and the levels of paradise inside Jannah, we also want to mention too, how will you enter Jannah? How will the people enter Jannah? Huh? Don't say Uber, akhi. What? Say again? In groups. In groups. But once you get in there, how would you be escorted to your property?
You know by yourself.
Huh?
You will by yourself follow a path and know that this is your house, your property.
You will instinctively know, a person will instinctively know that this to go where they will know their place in Jannah better than they knew their place in this dunya. But it's another narration too. It's one narration that mentions that when a person enters Jannah, one of the transportations will low Adam. It's from narration, and I'll bring it next week. One of the transportations that a person will basically also ride on a horse that's made out of gold, pure gold, right? And also this horse will take him any place that he wants to go in Jannah, right? There's various different things as well. Obviously, you have in some narrations mentioned that you will have escorts that will basically take you, your servants in Jannah. They will take you any place that you want to go, right? As well. Yeah? Oh, you had a question. All right. So we have this particular, how we enter Jannah, this is one of the different ways. The ground of paradise, how does it look? Huh? White? Zafaran. Also, is mentioned in one narration that the soil is misk. SubhanAllah. All right. And then also is mentioned that there is a brick of gold and there's a brick of silver. The pathways. The pebbles is mentioned that you will kick in Jannah are made out of rubies and pearls and diamonds. These are like the rocks of Jannah that people kill over in this dunya. These are the pebbles and the rocks of Jannah that a person will walk upon. Right? Huh? There's no more work for you, Wasim. There's no more gold. Please. All right. So here also we have the climate. What will be the climate of Jannah? The climate. Climate. I say climate. Climate, I'm sorry. Climate of Jannah. Yeah. The weather, the Joe. Talks.
Whatever you want it to be.
There's no sun in Jannah.
It has to be beautiful weather. I mean,
That wouldn't fall under what you desire.
where's the nur if there's no sun?
Where's the nur if there's no sun? Well, let's go to chapter 76, verse 13. There's no sun in Jannah. There's no There's no darkness, there's no sun, there's no coldness.
76:13.
76:13, what does it say, huh?
You can ask for a son, no?
Can you ask for a sun? It's not gonna make it brighter.
Reclining therein upon couches, they shall behold therein neither sun nor hurting cold.
There's no sun in Jannah, and there's no cold, neither.
I'll say about 70 degrees.
It's about 70 degrees. The scholars, they mentioned the throne comes from the radiance of the different rewards that a person will have. Some of the scholars mentioned the light will come from the radiance of different rewards that you have from the pleasures of Jannah. Also, it will also come from either the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wallahu a'lam, and Allah is the nur in and of itself. Right? So there's no sun in Jannah is perfect upon perfection. And you can think sometimes, a lot of us have traveled to different places, right? You ever traveled to somewhere, like for an example, I remember one time I got invited to go to Myrtle Beach for an Islamic lecture. And I went, and it was like nice scenery, but it was cold as I don't know what. And it just ruined the whole thing for me, right? And so what happens, you can be in a beautiful place, but the weather can do what? Just make the whole trip, just spoil the whole trip. However, here in Jannah, again, you have nothing that will bother you internally or externally or anything. From even what you see, everything is perfection upon perfection upon perfection. Now,
So the sun that Allah talks about, that the people will be shaded from, is before the Jannah?
when Yom Qiyamah, when it's a mile away from their heads, yes. So this is what it's talking about here. That's talking about before Jannah, not inside of Jannah. And there's even another narration that will be thrown in the hellfire. All of the idols that people used to worship, including the sun and everything else, will also be thrown inside of the hellfire. All right, and we're going to talk about another narration. Again, we're going to deal with miscellaneous issues next week. And we talked about here also one of the benefits too, as far as there being a social life in Jannah. How's the environment? The rivers of paradise. We're going to talk about the colors as well. But there's a social life in Jannah that we'll be able to discuss the days of old. One of the blessings you will remember these days too. What's the wisdom behind that? You're in Jannah, but you're able to recall some things in the dunya.
Match up stories.
Match up stories, huh?
Yeah.
To appreciate what you have right now.
To appreciate what you have right now. How is that part? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, obviously the pleasures of Jannah are unmatched. So whatever you remember from the dunya is going to be, day and night.
Right. One of the main benefits too is that it increases in person and gratitude. They remember what they had, and this can't compare to what? To this. Also, one of the greatest proofs of this, Allah talks about in Surah Al-Safat, فَأَقْبَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ, that the people in Jannah, they will come close and they will inquire about the old days. And one of them, he would tell another companion that I had what? I had a friend in the dunya. Right? So he's recalling what happens in the previous life. I had a friend in the dunya who tried to take me away from the religion of Allah. And I swear by Allah, he almost destroyed me. He asked, do you want to see where he's at now? And so one of the things that people in Jannah do, be able to see the people where? In the hellfire, subhanAllah. Right? But also this increases the people in gratitude. So there's actually a social life, and one of the wisdoms of recalling certain things that happen in the dunya. And there's many different proofs that you can mention from, even the fruit that you'll be eating. And we're talking about the different food that we'll eat. And they would say, this is like we have been given before, right? As far as the name in and of itself, but obviously the taste. Some of the scholars mentioned that every bite that a person takes in Jannah, every bite that it will never be the same. It will always increase as far as the taste, as far as the pleasure, even if you ate the same thing again. Right? There's one narration that mentions that a person will sit at his table in Jannah and he will eat several different plates, even though there be hundreds of plates, and he will never be full. He will basically burp, yatajasha. No counting calories in Jannah, brother. He will burp, but his burp will smell like what? Misk. There's no defecating, there's no urinating or anything like that. A person will basically sweat, and also that sweat will smell like misk, or he would just burp, and that will be his way of releasing himself. Yes, Habib.
a lot of these examples you're giving, you're saying the scholars say, where they getting this from?
Hadith. I just mentioned some of the hadith.
Some of them, but a lot of them you're saying the scholars saying. So like, are they making it up on their own?
No, la abadan.
Where? And then like.
So give me.
before-
No, it's
Yeah,
good.
no,
It's good.
Because he's the one to say anything somebody says, ask him the evidence for it. So then.
Go ahead, Habib. Tafaddal.
And then, like, in the previous class, you said, like, you know, you may say, for example, oh, I called this person 100 times. You didn't really call them 100 times, but it's just a way of saying it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we really know there's a pillar that's 40 years to get from this side to that side, or something that you ride 100 miles, unless Allah said it or the Prophet said it? How do scholars know?
So here, Jazakallah khair, it's a perfect question. So when it comes to mentioning certain things, right? We talk about there is, it has two possibilities, right? And one of those possibilities, either some scholars will interpret it based upon different things, other texts, or based upon the Arabic language. It's like, for an example, when we said sab'ina marra. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says if you were to seek forgiveness for them 70 times, then he would never what? Forgive them. Doesn't mean if you did it 71 times, then they would do it. Then he will forgive them. But it's just a way, and the scholars, they interpret that particular verse based upon other texts and say that, well, in the Arabic language, sab'een, it just means like, it's indicative of a lot. Some scholars, they will mention, no, we take it upon a dhahr. Right? It's 70. And so here, when we talk about a post, which is mentioned in the hadith, right? A post, that this post between one side and the other side is 40 years of travel, then the scholars mentioned two different interpretations, right? The first interpretation is that it's literally 40, and some of them say that this is just a number to be showing it's indicative of what? That it's a long time. Whether it's this one or this one, it still means a lot, all right? So you have that. But the only way to actually interpret these texts is in lieu of other texts, or it goes back to the actual language in and of itself, right? That kind of answers it now. As far as the other things that I mentioned, I didn't mention certain ayats for the sake of time, all right? Because it will be a long time by the time. But at the end of next week, I'll go back and mention everything. Inshallah. I mean, well, yeah. So here we talk about also different social life. When we talk about the different colors or the social life of Jannah, you have chapter 55, verse 76. Habib, I'll start giving out numbers if you need me to. All right, tell you. All right, I want to get to something very quickly. Some of the rewards of paradise here. There's no sleep in Jannah. There's no sleep whatsoever. Why? Go to chapter 15, verse 48. So I'll make Habib happy. Chapter 15, verse 48.
No sleep because no one gets tired.
No sense of fatigue shall touch you.
No sense of fatigue shall touch them. So here the scholars mention, based upon this, the tafsir of it, that there's no what? There's no sleep in Jannah.
What was that? What was chapter?
Chapter 15, verse.
Huh?
No, we don't say we angels, okay? No.
1548.
1548. There's no sleep in Jannah. Sleep, one of the reasons why we sleep is because we're tired. We experience ta'ab, right? And there's no tired, there's no fatigue that's in Jannah. Also, and after a person has been patient for a long period of time, 50,000 years standing on Yawm al-Qiyamah, which even though for a believer only feel like a salat, right? But after walking across the salat, after spending I don't know how many years in the barzakh in your grave, and all these things, and then you finally get to Jannah like, yeah, I want to go sleep. Like, la, there's no sleeping in Jannah, right? So we have that as well. These are too many Quranics, there's no sleep in Jannah. Allah knows best. Well, actually, it's mentioned when you come out of it, it's mentioned labifna yawman aw ba'da yawm. It feels like we either were asleep for a day or half a day. You'll be dead for a long time, but it won't actually feel like that.
Does that also imply there's no night in Jannah?
It mentions there's no night as well. There's no night as well. All right.
No sleep, no night.
What is the age of the people of Jannah?
33.
You said 40. You said 35.
33. I said 33.
You say 33. What's the proof? we said different numbers. He said 40. He said 35. He said 33.
hadith that says that the people will be resurrected in the age of Isa alayhi salam and the size of Adam alayhi salam.
طيب. Alhamdulillah. So you have this hadith. It's mentioned. Huh? Not this Isa. Not this. So, how long will we be in Jannah?
No, the height. The height.
Oh, height, the size of Adam alayhi salam. Right? We're going to talk about that. About 60 cubits long, tall. However, I want to mention this hadith. It's mentioned, يدخل الجنة جردا مردا كحلا أبناء ثلاثة وثلاثين سنة. The people, when they enter Jannah, they will enter Jannah hairless. Sheikh? It doesn't mean bald, okay? It doesn't mean bald. Inshallah, we're going to be all right, inshallah. All right. But those who enter Jannah, it's mentioned when it says hairless, it's talking about no hair on their body. Hairless. Or no hair under your underarms or what have you. Some of the scholars have mentioned in explanation of this particular hadith, one of the wisdoms behind that is because hair carries, well, they say germs, but also may carry a certain smell or what have you. But nevertheless, it'll be perfect. They will have no hair on their bodies, right? Also, they will be beardless. There's no more hair. All right, person will be beardless, and they will have beautiful eyes, and they will all have the age. They will be the age of 33. The scholars, they mentioned what is the reason of why of 33. Some of them interpret that by saying because this is the age a person has fully reached his strength, right? Or this is the perfect age of perfection in of a sense.
Can you look 33 without a beard?
It's a gender, brother. Also, it's mentioned as well that even the children who have passed away at a younger age, when they are resurrected into Jannah, they will enter Jannah at the age of 33. All right? Everybody will be, and you will never grow, or you will never age. I shouldn't say grow. You will never age. You will always remain that particular age. Huh? So will there be children in Jannah? We're going to talk about it too. Actually, there's one narration that mentions if a man would like for his wife to have a child in Jannah, if he wants his wife to have a child in Jannah, that her pregnancy and the labor will happen in Sa'ah, in an hour. Right? And there's no pain involved in it. And the child will come out the way that he wants it to be. How it actually looks. He said,
So what about the 33 with the
Your sister's gonna be 33 too?
His sister's gonna be they're gonna look beautiful out here. So here we'll talk about this. This will be a class for the Qur'an. Just chill. All right. So again, the ages of the people of Jannah will be 33. There's no sleeping in Jannah. Also, you will constantly remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's mentioned that the people will be yulhamun, tasbih wa tahmid. They will be inspired. It'll be easy for them to remember Allah like how they breathe. Saying alhamdulillah, subhanallah in Jannah is you don't have to think about it. A person will just easily say it like how they breathe. We're trying to be the same here, inshallah. We'll talk about the food in Jannah because of the sake of time. I want to wrap this up. We'll talk about this a little bit next week. We're going to talk about the different real estate in Jannah, how the houses be, or the food, or the drinks, or the social life in further details. Shopping in Jannah, we're going to talk about that. The different services that you have. All these things we're going to cover next week. The different animals. One of the things I want to cover right now is number 12, marriage in paradise. All right. Hot topic, right? Tell you very quickly though. He said hot tub, smaller. In Jannah, as the Prophet said, in Jannah a'zab. There's no one in Jannah that will be single. There's no bachelor life in Jannah. All right. Oh, why you made that face? You already got 3 wives, okay? All right. But there's no single people in Jannah. Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah, he said that Zawaj in Jannah is of 4 different types. The marriage in paradise is of 4 different types. Or women, they fall into these 4 categories. All right? He said the first category is a woman who died. All right? A woman, basically, she died, and her husband, she died before her husband. So she died as a married woman. All right? Who will she be with in Jannah? She will be with her husband in Jannah. If, the caveat, if he makes it to paradise. Like, for an example, if he, la qadr Allah, if he's decreed to go to the hellfire, she's not going to be in Jannah just chilling and waiting for him. All right? If she made it to Jannah and he's going to hell, she's going to be what? Married to somebody else.
What if he come back out?
Huh?
What if he come out later?
He coming out to something else. He ain't coming out to her. He might be burning for millions of years. She ain't waiting for him.
What if she wants him though?
Huh?
What if she wants him? But
So we're going to talk about that too, about making shafa'ah, all right? Because we'll talk about it if that is the case. That's number 1. So a woman who basically, she was married and she died before her husband, if it's decreed that both of them go to Jannah, they will be married what? Together in Jannah.
What if the man got married again after she died?
She would still be with him because he can have multiple wives.
He can have both.
All right. So we're going to talk about that too. So if the man married, you say if she died and he got married again after her. See,
She will be upset.
وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِم مِّنْ غِلٍّ. Allah has taken that all out of their hearts, right? I remember before I gave this class, and brothers like and sisters like, damn, I gotta be with him again. Right? At that point, there's pure perfection.
Because the ego be going in.
There's no all them old beefs and shit, she's old. You know, none of that is everybody 33 or 30. Everybody's 33, pure perfection, you'll be happy. So number 1, again, very quickly, if she died before her husband and he's decreed that he is going to Jannah, they will be married together what? In Jannah. So what? Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says the second option is a woman who died or he mutallaqa. She died and she was divorced. Meaning she died without what? A husband. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will allow her to marry whoever she wishes. She can marry whoever she wishes. This is called Shaykh Uthaymeen. He mentions that she can marry whoever she wishes. Option number 3. Shaykh Uthaymeen, he says that basically she had multiple husbands in this dunya. She had multiple husbands, meaning she had one husband, he passed away. And then for whatever reason, she married again.
She chose from
And then, let's say he died. And then she married again a third time.
that's a problem. Everyone
He said it's a problem. Swallow. Okay, let's just stop at 2. She married 2 brothers. The first one died, and then the second one, or she died before him. So technically, she had a what? 2 husbands. Who would she be married to in Jannah?
Whichever one she wants.
So the strongest hadith, there are 2 narrations. One narration mentions she will be with the last one. However, the scholars mention this hadith is not authentic. And Allah knows best. It's mentioned that Allah yukhayruha. That she would choose the one who treated her the best in character. And some of the scholars you mentioned, they said one of the wisdoms behind that is because sometimes some women, they marry out of situations, not because they want to. Maybe the husband passed away and he didn't leave anything behind for her. She's in a situation where she needs to marry so someone can take care of her. She's not marrying out of love. I don't even want to be with this guy. All right? But I truly miss my previous husband. So it's mentioned that Allah will allow her to choose whoever treated her the best. All right? So this is the third option. The fourth option is that she never married whatsoever. She never married whatsoever. Maybe she died when she was young, or what have you. It's mentioned on this particular situation that, again, she can choose whoever she desires to be married with. The reason why we're saying this, and we'll end with this, is that several things. One, you have a narration that mentions that a man in Jannah will enter Jannah with 2 wives. And so Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he actually says that this is indicative that every man, wallahu a'lam, every man will have 2 wives from this world. And then he will have wives from the Hurul Ain. So the reason why we mention this is because when we say that, a lot of brothers, they quote this hadith that the most of the people in the hellfire are women. This doesn't mean that the most of the inhabitants of Jannah are women as well. And the scholars, they mention that in both places, the majority of the inhabitants are women. All right? And so just because it's one narration that talks about the hellfire, for example, if I said the most of the people in South Carolina are women, does that mean that most of the people in Georgia are not women? Yes or no? Just because one thing is true in one place doesn't mean it's not true what? In another place.
What's the point of mentioning it?
So when we talk about, well, it's mentioned in that narration as far as them being ungrateful or what have you in different things as well, right? For them to receive from doing certain actions. But nevertheless, too, it's mentioned, it's clear from this particular hadith that the majority of the inhabitants of Jannah are also women too. So again, Sheikh Uthaymeen, he mentioned that the women will fall in these 4 categories. Either again, one second, either that she was married, women who died with her husband, but not with her husband, subhanAllah. But if before her husband, she'd be married with her husband, or a woman who died divorced, she can choose whoever she wishes on that day, or she had multiple husbands, right? She would choose the one who treated her the best, or she never married. Last story very quickly, a few years ago, I used to be a chaplain in the prison. And I remember one of the Muslims, one of the Christian chaplains, he was making fun of Islam. And he said that, he said, I got a question. He said, you believe in paradise, you'll be married, wife, right? And I said, yeah, what's the problem? He said, that's weird that you guys will have relations and be married in paradise. Do you believe that? And I said, so you love your wife now, right? He said, yeah, of course. I said, so in your faith, when you die, you believe that you both are going to paradise, like you don't want to see her again. And he stopped and he said, I never thought about it like that. And then also, and I said, you got to think about it too. We have children all across the world who lose their life to a lot of different things. A girl in Gaza, whatever the case may be, she dreams about one day being married and having a family. And so out of Allah's fairness, on that day, he will let everyone experience true love, right? And it's mentioned that in one narration that everybody's hearts will be the size of who knows? The size of what? Huh? The size of the earth.
Say that again?
No. Got a big chest, brother. No. It's mentioned in one narration, and Allah knows best, that everyone is mentioned that it would be the size of a sword of a bird, or what have you. Or nevertheless, it's also mentioned that everyone will be basically on one accord, right? And there's no disputes between husband and wife or what have you. There's true peace and true happiness, right? And then next week, we're going to go back into these other issues about the different parts of Jannah and also marriage and Jannah and what actually happens and so on and so forth.
Can I ask a question?
Nah, you ask, huh? Yes, we're going to talk about that's a class in and of itself. 13 personal meetings in seeing Allah. There will be personal meetings with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah as well. Yes.
When you said Jannah will be mostly women as well, is that women from, or the women that there are?
So some of the scholars mentioned that there's also women from this world. There's women from this world. That means it just shows that there's a lot of women that Allah has created. All right, now. Say it again. Habib said something, threw me off.
The exact amount of women and men is going to be the same.
As far as the number, it's not even the same in this dunya.
Jannah, he says the majority.
And Jannah, I'm saying on Yawm al-Qiyamah, in Jannah, the majority of the inhabitants are women, and also the majority of the inhabitants in the hellfire are women, right? But just because one thing is true in one place doesn't mean, because some people interpret and say that the majority of the inhabitants of the hellfire are women, which means there's not a lot of women in Jannah. That's not necessarily true. That's why I gave the example, just because the majority of the people in South Carolina may be women, for an example, it doesn't mean that the majority of people in New York are men, right? So one can be true in one place and it can be true in another place too. And based upon these other narrations, it shows that the majority of the people in Jannah are also women. Now. I mean, well, yeah. Next week we have the class with the Qur'an. We'll see. Don't be late. So, استغفر الله وأتوب إليه. جزاك الله خير.